All right. First of all, I want to thank Grace of Heaven and the Virtues of Masters, the mercy of the Grand Predecessor, transmitters, and everyone here to talk about. Yeah, I changed the title a little bit. Introduction. So, what is Tao? Okay. Yeah, because we always talk about introduction to Tao. Okay. And then the subtitle being the truth, the way, and the life. Okay. So maybe a little bit different way of talking about this. Okay. So, what is Tao? This is Tao by any other name, right? We talk nature. Well, actually, before established religions, right? The ancient peoples, whether it's, I don't know, Stonehenge or whatever, these ancient people, they kind of revere nature, right? So there's just nature, Mother Nature. Or you say Creator, Sangdi, right? Yahweh, God, Allah, okay, whatever. Different names for the same thing, okay? So in the beginning was the Word, right? Or this is from the Bible, right? The Book of John, right? The Chinese translation, they use Tao instead of Word, which is interesting that they use that. And the Tao was with God, and the Tao was God. So this is, in essence, well, the way that I guess the Christians would explain, the Word means the Word of God is what they say, right? The truth, basically. Okay, so. So you can see that there are two kind of aspects of this one, the oneness, or we say the Tao. The nameless aspect, which you can say is the essence or the truth, and the named, which is that which is manifested. So what, or you could say, so we could say the being and the conscience, right? So like maybe God is like the conscience aspect, and then the well, it's kind of hard to exactly split it that way, but or what Buddha says, or we say the void, right? This true form of the formless and the marvelous mind of nirvana, I guess, maybe. I mean, but basically this formless thing, all right? There's formless aspect, and then the form that we can see is kind of due to the actions of this entity, this essence, okay? So that's basically.
No, what the void means it's saying that the essence is formless.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it true? Okay. Like our Buddha nature is formless, but yet it exists, and it exists through its manifestation. Get it? Even though that manifestation is empty, that means it has no essence. I mean, it's not everlasting, another way of saying it.
Yeah.
Easier way of saying it.
Yeah, I mean, there's this the true form of the form. Okay, there's something there that's this essence that has no form, nothing tangible, nothing. But yet, all forms are created from it.
Yeah, come from
okay.
it. Or, yeah.
Or exist within it, okay?
And this formless form is eternal.
Yeah.
It always is, always exists.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
But you can't touch it, see it. That's the problem.
Yeah. You can only kind of.
That's the problem.
Yeah, it's only through. Okay. Well, anyways, all right. So so when just like that essence, kind of pointing out that essence, we can only point it out, and so it's like Buddha certifying Mahakasyapa, right? Because he realized that there is this essence from the Flower Sermon, right? Or once Huineng, the sixth patriarch, was certified by the fifth patriarch, right? Then Huineng realized, oh wow, how amazing this self nature being talking about that essence is originally pure.
Right,
how amazing that it's unborn and undying, so eternal and unchanging. That the self nature is inherently complete, so it encompasses everything. There's nothing that it's lacking. Okay. That self-nature neither moves nor stays, so it's everywhere. It's nowhere. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, it's okay. So there's nowhere that it needs to go because it encompasses everything, and all dharmas come from this self-nature. So everything, all phenomena, comes from this self-nature too. So that's this the marvelousness of the nature of this essence. Okay, so it goes beyond. Huh? Fifth? Oh, fifth. Okay, yeah. Right. All right. Okay, so the Tao is the truth. Okay, so this is kind of more abstract, but it's the absolute truth. Right, we have to distinguish because absolute truth means unconditional. Right, unconditional. It's unchanging with respect to time and space. So it's true anywhere, anytime. I mean, it doesn't change, depending on where you are or when. Okay, so it's universal, so it's eternal and it's universal. Okay, so that's and then so this is talking about that essence is, fits in that category. The relative truth, of course, then those are conditional, right? So we talk about a lot of truths, but those are all relative. So say, oh, the sun will always rise every day, but that's temporary too, right? I mean, that's as long as that sun doesn't, go nova, that's going to happen. That happens. So, but it's conditional. So, and it's maybe a limited time where these truths exist. But so that's not the absolute truth. So this all phenomena, basically, if you describe all phenomena, they are there is truth in the fact that they exist, but they can change, and so it's relative. It's not the absolute. So, from the absolute point of view, then even these relative truths are false. I mean, because they're not eternal.
Conditioned.
They're conditioned, right? They're conditional.
So the condition doesn't exist.
Yeah, once the condition. So so all phenomena exist due to conditions, right? If the conditions aren't there, the phenomena doesn't exist, right? So that's kind of the distinction.
So that's like even scientific laws.
Yeah, all these laws are relative to this universe that we live in. Okay.
Suppose you're in a different galaxy that has different different conditions. Then,
So
then the laws will be different.
Right. So the laws of nature. I mean, obviously, we don't know about other universes, so we only know about this universe, and the laws of nature that we so far understand or discovered seem to work pretty well in describing this universe. Although, like there's having. I mean, there's the issue between quantum, the quantum level, and then the macro level. They can't seem to reconcile those two yet. But yeah, so it's basically our understanding is incomplete. Okay, so of that, and so in the Lao Tzu says, right, Qin Jing Jing, right, the great Tao is without preference, yet it regulates the sun and moon. So it's basically, there's natural laws, okay, that define how things interact, how things, the whole thing with the I Ching and the Yin Yang, how they and the 5 elements, how they all interact and relate to each other and all that. So it's not random. In other words, things don't happen just randomly.
It's all very harmonious.
Yeah,
it works in sync with each other. Let's put it that way.
I mean, if they follow certain the rules, if you will, then everything will be in harmony.
Right. It's not chaotic as we think of it. Yeah.
Right. And then another, you could say, universal truth is causality, right? Cause and effect, karma, which is the result. But so this is obviously we know that in physics as well about causality, but this also affects the non-physical, the spiritual, if you will, realm. The causality, and that's what we call karma. Okay. So this is also another,
that makes sense. You know why? Right? People say, "Oh, it only applies causality only applies in physics, for example. Be it quantum mechanics or relativity, whatever, and it doesn't apply to animate objects." That doesn't make sense, because if that's the case, animate sensation is also a physical object. Therefore, that means you can defy the law of nature. Right. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. See, that's a contradiction. Yeah. So it has to be applicable throughout. Whether it's animate, inanimate, sentient, non-sentient. Right. Make sense, right?
Yeah.
That's the, that's principle also applies in math, for example.
Right.
Example.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, and then so another truth in applying to phenomena or existence, the 3 Dharma seals. So this is what Buddha's saying. Anatta, there's no true that essence. So these things don't exist by themselves. Dukkha, everything, if for living beings, anyways, or even applied to non-living, is just that they're imperfect. They change. They're subject to change, and they don't last forever. Okay, and anicca is impermanence. Okay, so but yeah.
Dukkha just means
this is more
perfect.
Yeah, it's not perfect. Okay, yeah.
Because
I mean, if it was perfect, then these other wouldn't apply, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So okay, but yeah.
Yeah. If it's perfect, it would not be impermanent.
Right. Right.
That's one way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, depending on how you define what that perfection is, but yeah. Okay, so okay, so the Tao is also the way. Okay, the way all things are. This is continuing in that book of John. It says all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So everything was created from that essence, that origin, whatever. That well, yeah, nothing is excluded from that. So everything follows through. There's certain ways that I mean that we don't understand how maybe things are created in the beginning, but that's how it is. Okay, and in the Tao Te Ching, right, it says the nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. Or in the Qing Jing Jing, it says the great Tao is without form yet gives birth to heaven and earth. Right, it says the named is the mother of all things. The great Tao is without name yet nurtures the universe. Okay, So again, you know, the nameless and the named, again, that essence giving birth to all the rules, all the laws, and the whole universe. And then the named is what we can see from that, the forms that result from that, or you can say the actions, the forces that make things like turn energy into matter, for example, things like that. Okay, and then, of course, the doctrine of the meaning is that to be in accordance with the nature is the way. So that nature, of course, that essence within humans. Okay, so following that way, so following that, you can say following the conscience. Okay, all right. Here.
But that nature
sorry.
does not necessarily mean this earth, this mother nature that we think of this nature. It's not that nature. It's
Yeah.
really the nature is really the way the Tao works. That's
Yeah,
it's
because
higher.
Mother Nature is the form as
Right,
the
right.
what we can
It's
see
on
already.
Earth.
It's
Right,
it's
on Earth.
it's
Use
the
the Earth or
the whole universe even, but that's already derived from that first one. Okay, so here Bruce Lee says, you know, so because we had that discussion a couple of weeks ago about water, right? So it says, empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. Right now, actually, I'll just play this clip here. Right?
This is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now, you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but he was referring to
Well,
from the Kung Fu.
Yeah, from obviously, right. He's applying that principle or the philosophy towards, you know, what he's doing, the martial arts. Okay, so
he's saying, he's basically saying his martial arts is not fixed.
Yeah, it's
you know,
not fixed.
To say just be like a bottle.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say? So it's flexible.
Yeah, right.
So it can encounter any situation.
Yeah, you can deal with any situation.
You can deal with it. So
Yeah.
that's what he meant.
Yeah.
No, this is smart.
No,
That's
no.
an interesting philosophy.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a fantastic. You know, way of-
I mean, because he's kind of
There is this writer, I heard it a long time ago, I don't know who's the writer, I forgot. I saw it in the movie, and then he's like, he asked his students to write, right? And he said, I don't know what to write. And he said, you gotta empty your mind first.
yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, because empty your mind, meaning that we have preconceptions, we have our own ideas about or whatever
It's like empty
of how it is, and then that's our fixed way. That's like our habits or whatever. Then we need to clear that, so that we say think out of the box. You know, the same idea is that we have to change or think a different way, take a different perspective or whatever. But yeah, so you know, this is basically you know, he's saying basically he's sui yuan. Okay, so you deal with it as it's needed in a way that's needed. So that's why the water can fit any form, okay, any situation. That's what he's saying. And then water can flow or it can crash too. I mean, it's basically saying that the water it's not just, oh, we just see it. I mean, it can do things different ways. Okay, so be water. Yeah. So that's water. Okay. So Tao is like water. You know, these are kind of qualities or characteristics, you can say, that we can ascribe to water, right? It's clear, it's peaceful, quiet, pure. If you don't do anything, I mean, it's just sitting there. It's very clear. It's transparent, right? Okay, so there's nothing hiding, right? When water is just, it's very clear. So you can see anything that's in there. Okay, so it's transparent. Does not change its nature or character, even if you freeze it or you boil it, becomes gaseous, but it's still H2O, okay, and it doesn't change. It's flexible, of course, just like what we're saying. It fits the situation. It can be yielding or it can be unmoving as well. Basically, yielding, it can go around things. Unmoving, it's like all that water behind a dam, right? It's staying there, and as long as if you give it, yield, if you yield, it's gonna crash down. Okay, so, but it's modest and humble. It always flows to the lowest point, so always be low, and then it can tolerate, forgive, and accommodate everything. Okay, so you can put anything in the water. Doesn't matter. It doesn't change its nature, right?
Well, it
So
doesn't reject it.
it doesn't reject it either.
That's why we can throw all the garbage into the ocean. It doesn't reject it, it still takes it,
Right.
unfortunately.
So yeah, but so I mean, obviously, these qualities is to remind us that we should try to be like that. So that's why we say, we should try to learn from heaven and earth, learn from like water, that we can accommodate, we can tolerate, forgive. It mediates, reconciles, harmonizes. So a lot of times you need water to, let's say, like cement, for example. The dry powder, whatever, and then you need water to make it turn, to do what it needs to do. So that's what. So water is very special. Of course, water also it has patience, tenacity, and perseverance. So again, it's also if you look at like in caves or whatever, these water drops, right? It keeps dripping.
Stalagmite.
These stalagmites, stalactites,
Stalactites.
or how water wears down the stones
Correct.
over millions of years.
Eons.
Millions of years, just drop at a time, a drop at a time.
Just one drop at a time. That's scary.
And it can do amazing things, a lot of things. Okay, but that's the patience, perseverance, tenacity. Courage to be able to actually do things no matter what. It's not afraid of things. It'll just do it. All right. It benefits and nourishes life, of course. Water is the essence of biological life. All right. So all, even viruses, whatever, everything depends on water. All right. And it's you say equal or it's impartial, right? It doesn't care who, how people are using it or what. It doesn't say avoid certain areas because this area is dirty, things like that. So again, these are kind of qualities that we try to learn from, try to be like water, or to be water. I mean, if we're talking about the Tao, we have to be the Tao, be that essence. Okay. Not just be like, okay. But this is kind of how we kind of try to describe it, maybe. Tao is the life, okay. So, and in the book of John, it continues, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. So that life, from this Tao, this essence, it gave us life, okay. So what has conferred is called the nature, right? To be in accord with the nature is called the way. To cultivate the way is called the practice or the life, okay. So, also, so basically, Tao is in our life. Okay, so it's not just there's knowledge that we know, or there's some secret truth. It's all three: the truth or the essence, the way, and the life. Okay, all three together. And so Buddha, right at the beginning of the Diamond Sutras, has, basically demonstrated what we call the four normals, whatever, the ordinary or the common things that commonplace. Things that are routine and usual, right? So basically, obviously, back then he was begging for food, right? And then they eat. Well, that's very common. They usually eat around the same time, every day.
That's a routine,
And what they eat, of course, is very plain and simple, right? It's not all extravagant stuff, and what they wear as well, everything.
Right.
And then finally, it's genuine and natural. So that is basically what's coming, that sincerity coming from that true self, okay? So you can say it's the where, the when, the what, and the how. Okay, So basically, where, when, and then the how is, we express our true nature like this, okay, through
That's the
these,
genuine
through
part.
through this, yeah. I mean, that's really what that
Yes, from
genuine,
your Buddha nature,
yeah,
right.
it's very natural.
Non-conditioned. You can say it's non-conditioned.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sincere.
Yeah,
Sincere.
so-
Non-conditioned.
so here, okay, another quote from Bruce Lee. He has some inspiring quotes, okay, so,
Always
um,
Bruce Lee.
well, because, we're talking
No, he
about,
studied philosophy.
Yeah,
in
right, so
college.
he- so-
Believe it or not, yeah.
so,
He's
yeah.
a philosopher.
right, that's why he applies these Tao philosophy to, okay, so knowing is not enough, we must apply it, right? Willing is not enough, we must do it, okay, so again, he realized that it's not just knowledge, we have to practice, we have to put it put it into effect, apply it, right?
To do it.
So Tao is beyond knowledge, beyond, and not just the words or the knowledge. Okay, so right in the Bible it says, "Know thyself." Right? Know thyself. Know what? Know your true self is what is talking about. Okay, you have to know our true self, our essence, our true nature. All right. So first, of course, for us, we must awaken to it. Right? We receive the Tao. Okay. We must live it. We have to cultivate, experience, practice it. Right? And then we must realize it, through this, because we're not enlightened yet. And so through this practice, through the cultivation, that we should gradually realize, not just understand at an intellectual level, but to experience it through our experience, to realize what that essence is. And then finally, to achieve it, we fulfill our goals, whatever.
Realize, you got another way of saying is the process
Yeah.
of achieving.
Yeah,
That-
yeah.
You can say
Yeah,
that,
yeah, I
right?
mean, it's-
realization is the process. It's not. You can say, yeah, I just realized everything, at one instant.
Not, well, yeah, not,
But I mean, a lot of people say that. Okay, I would say, that, but it's really that process.
yeah, yeah.
It's a process. Okay? The achieve is the end point. It's the goal. It's the, you reach your goal.
Right,
you
right.
attain it. You attain it.
Right.
That,
Yeah.
That's what we should.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
In this case, that's what
yeah,
we mean.
yeah. I mean, so realizing is not just mentally I know. Oh, okay, it is, but you have
the
to go
process.
through that process,
Right,
the
yeah.
practice, the cultivation
Yeah.
to get there.
Yeah.
All right. So the Tao and the life. Okay, so it's the middle way, right? The doctrine and the mean. So you can say the truth or the essence is that nature that within. The way is to be in accord with that nature, and the life is to cultivate and practice that way. Okay, so again, this is essentially three treasures too. So it's saying that same thing. Noble Eightfold Path, you can kind of divide it up into this. The truth is within this. This is really the essence, the mindfulness, the concentration that of mind. The way is having the right view and the thoughts, and then the life, the external aspect is the speech, conduct, livelihood, and putting in that effort. Or effort could probably go in either one, but and then reciprocity is another way that we talk about the Tao, this life, which means the golden rule, basically. What Confucius says: "Do not do unto others what you do not wish others to do unto you," or the positive way that Jesus says, right? Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Okay, so same thing, but that's kind of this reciprocity rule. The golden rule. So again, we have to apply these in our life, and that's the way that then we are basically practicing doing the Tao. Okay. All right. So again, but it goes down to the core of it is again this is what I call the sincerity or honesty. Right. We have to be honest with ourselves, honest with our honest with our true selves. Okay. That true nature. Our conscience, okay. Then from that, we have confidence in ourselves, okay. We have to have that faith, the confidence that we are what we are and what we can be, okay. And finally, when we be ourselves, we express ourselves, and it's through these virtues, okay, wisdom, benevolence, propriety, and righteousness, and you end up with that. Get that reciprocity. Yeah.
So the sincerity is the faith.
Yeah, that's the key. That's the
Whoa.
sincerity is that genuine self, being that genuine self, the genuine true self. Okay, and then faith is, you can say, is having that confidence. You can say self-confidence or faith in that self, that we are the Buddha. We are that. We are one. And so that's how come, Buddha or any of these saints, sages, they can achieve what they can achieve because they first of all, they have that sincerity, that genuineness, and they have that faith in themselves, in that true nature. And then so, actually, Bruce Lee did say something like that. Oh, to be yourself. I think I have that quote. But so again, he's borrowing this philosophy, but he's applying it, which is good. I mean, most people don't apply the thing, but okay. So reciprocity, right? Right. The human essence prefers purity, but the mind disturbs it, right? So our mind is subject, okay, because it says the mind prefers stillness, but desires mislead it. Okay, so basically, because of our desires, that's why Buddha says we have to kind of get rid of our desires, because that's our desires through our senses that it can disturb our mind, right? The mind actually wants to be still, but it's like disturbing that water, okay, and it becomes unclear. And then when that happens, of course, then the essence cannot be pure, okay? We cannot be one with that pure essence. So if we can get rid of, or we can constantly clear our mind, or if we can get rid of our desires, then the mind will naturally become still. If one constantly clears the mind, then the essence will naturally become pure, okay? So naturally, the 6 desires will not arise, the 3 poisons will vanish. So basically, it's kind of like you can say there's like a feedback loop. So if we do the right thing, if we keep like pursuing the desires, then that will just like snowball, get worse. And we can not break out. So we have to undo that, basically get rid of the desires. And as the more we keep still our mind and pure, then these things will naturally go away. You can say maybe it becomes habit, but it just becomes natural that these desires will not then come back, and that we won't have these 3 poisons, right? The greed, greed, anger, and ignorance, basically. All right. So it says constantly respond to things using that which is true and everlasting, right? So we respond using our true nature, our conscience. Constantly maintain the true nature, which is true and everlasting. Constantly respond and constantly be still. Constantly be still and pure and still, right? So this response and it's everything it's like there's a reflection or response to, right? Action has a reaction. So everything that we do. So make sure that we are responding or acting according to that still mind, the pure essence. Okay. Okay. So Tao is the truth, the way, and the life. Right. The truth, or in Buddhism, say the Buddha. Right. Is the essence, the oneness, that true nature. The way is Dharma, which is the principles, the virtues, the way of nature. Okay, the wu-wei aspect, right? How we do things just following the conscience, following without any kind of intentions. The intentions generally come from desires, things like that, or ego, right? And then the life, the sangha. Okay, so the practice, the cultivation. We flow like water, sui yan. Okay, so we have to basically be flexible, deal with, although there are rules, right? There are regulations that within those rules, but we still need to be flexible. And it's not like always, did you follow the rule to the letter? Things like that. We have to still be flexible. And so Tao cannot be left for an instant. If it could, it's not the Tao, right? So basically, the Tao is in our lives. I mean, it is our life. So if we leave it, then we're dead. Okay. So, or you can say that if we leave, if we don't follow the way of the Tao, right? These principles, then yes, we will end up in the constant cycle of reincarnation. Right. So that's also knowing death. Okay. And so, what Jesus says, I am the truth, the way, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So basically, saying that we have to understand the truth, we have to know the truth, and follow the way and practice it, cultivate it in our life to get to basically heaven. Okay, so it's all 3, right? We can't just say, I just learn it and then that's it. We have to apply it and practice it. Okay, so that's basically the one, a different way to talk about what this Tao is, and we have to basically use it in our lives. right? If we don't apply it, then we're not living the Tao, okay, according to the Tao. Okay, so yeah, well, here are a couple of some other quotes, right? It says, don't think, feel, right? As you think, so shall you become. Okay, well, I mean, say, don't think, I mean, right? We say, 万元方向一念不生, don't think, right? Just feel. Well, he used the word feel, of course. We don't have a better word for it, but it's just sense or just intuition or whatever.
Perception.
Yeah, the noumenon. Yeah. I mean, the
Don't
yeah.
think, but feel. Well, no, feel means.
I mean, he's saying,
I think it means aware.
yeah. You can say aware. Yeah,
Aware.
be aware.
Aware.
But then, in the other aspect, he's saying, as you think, so shall you become. Right? Yeah, we do need to. We are what we think, basically.
You
I mean,
become
we
it.
we can become it. So, in other words, that's the power of our mind. You can say our will or our essence is that we can become anything.
Yeah.
We can become anything as long as you want to do it and you put in the effort, okay, then we can become. So, so he's like become, because he applied that, he can become the greatest, martial artist, whatever, recently. Okay, so knowledge gives you power, but character gives you respect. Okay, so obviously, yeah. So our character, so that's why we have to cultivate ourselves, cultivate our character to get that respect, not just knowledge, right? Okay, so so this is that quote here. Fear comes from uncertainty. We can eliminate fear within us when we know ourselves better, right?
Well, you can say ignorance.
Yeah, so our ignorance, yeah. So we have to know who we really are, our true selves. Always be yourself, express yourself, have faith in yourself. Do not go out and look for a successful personality and duplicate. People tend to do that. Even the Buddhists, I'm going to copy the Buddha. But they always copy the mannerisms, the external stuff, right? They never start from the very root of their being, right? That is, how can I be me? The me here is that true me, okay? The true self, right? So that's basically what... so this applies too for our cultivation. The same thing. And we should realize what that root is, and we have to start from that root. So that sincerity, that genuineness, you start from there, and then the faith in our own true self, right? So if we can't distinguish between our ego and what that true essence, that self is, then we're going to be confused, and we're going to be. It'll end up being conditional on what our ego thinks or whatever. So that's why it's important to understand. We have to kind of separate, distinguish. What is the true self? What is my ego? What is my personality? All these things which are not the true self. Okay, all right. So I think that's basically it.
Because that's that's the, you can say, the core of why we study Xing.
Yeah.
That's to really realize that it's not our conscious ego that's the real me.
Yeah.
It's our Buddha nature, our essence. And we have to really understand that. Once you understand that, it's easier, because then it's no longer a shell, because you're right. If you still follow your ego or consciousness, which is a type of thing, then it's just a shell,
Right.
a facade.
Right.
That's it. At best.
Right.
Because you can say, I do this right thing, I follow the precepts, but that's still shell. That's still empty. Yeah, you're doing it,
Right.
but you don't understand your real self. You're
Right.
not doing it from that true nature.
Right.
You're still doing it from your conscious self.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the core.
Right.
That's
So the conscious, right. Yeah. I mean, we're not just going through the motions. I mean, it has to come naturally then.
Correct.
Ultimately, it's just natural that we do the kato, we do these things. I mean, it comes naturally from within. It's not because, I'm folling the rules, the precepts or whatever. It just comes naturally. So that's then coming from the core, the root.
That's the issue. Most people don't see that because they can only see it from the external point of view. Right? That's why I say, that when the essence speaks, it speaks the Dharma or the principle.
Yeah.
But then when essence acts, it acts according to propriety. Precepts is narrow. Propriety is broader.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Precepts is a narrow part. It acts according to propriety.
Right.
So from an external point of view, if we don't understand it. We just say, hey, yeah, you're following the rules.
Right,
You're following
right.
the ethical behavior,
Right.
ethics, propriety. That's from our external point of view. You know, from the low level. From the high level, you say, no, they're following their Buddha nature.
Right.
Make sense?
Right.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, I mean, so the three treasures, again, it's these three, you know, basically the truth, the way, and the life. It's so we have to basically apply it in our everyday life. I mean, we have to practice, put it into action, apply it. So that's basically it. If I had said anything wrong or not well, I asked the Buddhists for forgiveness and also transmitters and lecturers for the corrections. Thank you.